Welcome back. President Trump has made no secret that he's strongly in favor of strengthening federal background checks with or without the NRA support. He also says he wants to ban bump stocks. But earlier today, House Speaker Paul Ryan made it sound like he was already sending in the punt team.
Fixing the background checks. We're waiting to see what the Senate can do. We obviously think the Senate should take our whole bill, but if the Senate cannot do that, then we'll discuss and cross that bridge when we get to it.
The president's scheduled to meet with a bipartisan group of lawmakers tomorrow to discuss ways to reduce gun violence. But will they agree on anything? Here with me now, Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz. Welcome back to the show, Congressman.
Good to be back with you.
So let's talk about this, because I know a lot of people in your caucus have some issues. Anytime the subject of gun control comes up, what do you think will actually make purchase? What will get done in a bipartisan manner in the wake of this latest school shooting?
Well, I can tell you what the House believes. We believe that the Second Amendment shouldn't stop at state lines. People should be able to use their concealed carry permits with reciprocity in other states. And we also believe that we should strengthen our technology assets that allow us to be able to identify what people are mentally ill or otherwise unable to own guns under our existing laws. So before we go and pass a bunch of new laws that could potentially deprive law-abiding people of their Second Amendment rights, let's make sure we're doing everything to enforce our current laws and our current practices so that we've got every resource at our disposal to stay safe.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point, because oftentimes on the left, they operate as though there's so much lawlessness and carelessness when it comes to gun ownership in this country. And a vast majority of gun owners are incredibly responsible and abide by all those laws. There are so many of them, but there are flaws in the laws. There are elements of the system that have obviously completely broken down, especially when you look at what happened in Florida. What do you see being the final outcome of this legislation and both chambers coming together?
Well, I hope that we don't rush to gun control before knowing whether or not any of the particular gun control measures that we're discussing would even have had a favorable impact in the Parkland shooting or any number of other mass shootings that we've unfortunately seen in this country.
Yeah.
I do believe that we'll be able to find common ground on the issue of mental health. I do believe we'll be able to find common ground to get more resources to school districts, to harden their schools, to hire folks with the capability and arms to be able to defend students.
Yeah.
And then I think that we absolutely should ensure that where we have highly qualified people, that they could be part of a Marshall program or a Sentinel program at the local level to be able to be a force multiplier for law enforcement. That way, we're not just playing defense, and we could get rid of schools as gun-free zones.
Yeah, and I talked with one of your colleagues, Thomas Massey, last night about that very subject and the softening of targets over the years since 1990 and how that has made places like schools and playgrounds and movie theaters so much more dangerous. I want to talk about something else, though, and this has been a legislative passion project of yours, and that is the legalization of medical marijuana. One of the biggest holdups in this country and really figuring out what the effect of marijuana might be on certain medical conditions is the fact that there's such limited research. What are you hoping to accomplish in Congress?
Well, Kennedy, only on your show can I come on and talk about guns and weed.
Well,
but our marijuana legislation would ensure that we've got greater access to research and that the federal government doesn't stand between people and their patients, and that we don't use the apparatus of government to stop ourselves from unlocking cures. So my legislation would require more research-grade marijuana to be produced. It would allow veterans in particular to have more access to federally approved research trials, and absolutely would create a safe harbor for some of our universities who want to do marijuana research but are afraid that some of their other grants could be put in jeopardy. So
yeah, they wouldn't be able to. You're right. They wouldn't be able to get that federal funding. And I know you have an issue with Attorney General Jeff Sessions, and I share your concern because, you know, yes, we're talking about guns, we're talking about weed, but that's because ultimately we are talking about freedom.
That's it.
All right.
No, you're absolutely right. And look, what is the role of government? Is the role of government to protect you or to allow you to have the tools to protect yourself? Is the role of government to always be responsible to heal you, or should government get out of the way so that we can unlock the great human potential and the great scientific potential and live better lives? That's the great promise of freedom.
Absolutely right. A chorus of angels singing that song I love to hear. Congressman Gaetz, thank you so much.